Hello everyone, this is Dee Aquilin and welcome to Sacred Self-Love Sundays. I'm so excited to be back doing Sacred Self-Love Sundays. I've been doing them on Instagram and then I took a break and I have stuff following everywhere. But I am excited to be back doing these Sacred Self-Love Sundays on a weekly basis. I decided to shift my energy from being on Instagram every week to focusing here in this group to the people who I know will show up and watch the videos, as opposed to just having it out there for just people to see who may just watch it but not really intentionally do the work that we outline here in this group. So with that, it will still be available on YouTube for anyone that wants to watch on YouTube. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to watch these videos. And I hope that not only are you watching and you are listening, but you are applying what you're learning in these videos. Knowledge is key, but applied knowledge is what gives you power. So with that, my topic today, before I get into my topic, just say this, because I know that I'm doing this here in this group. And for those of you who are in the group that really haven't watched the Sacred Self-Love Sundays on Instagram, what these are impromptu conversations or impromptu, I don't want to call them rants, but just talks and chats that I have. And so I don't, apart from just thinking about what I want to talk about, I don't have any notes or anything like you are used to with me doing my normal classes. So with that, my topic today is something that I actually just got a few minutes ago, watching one of my friends. He did a very powerful YouTube live. He goes live every Sunday, and he says something in regards to trauma that I'm going to talk about and share what specifically his quote. But that's what I want to talk about today: healing through trauma. Healing through trauma. And the reason why I decided to say healing through trauma as opposed to healing beyond trauma, healing, or getting past trauma and things like that, is because we tend to want to skip the through process. And I thought about Psalm chapter 23. David says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me," So it's really about going through the process and not necessarily trying to skip the process. I think that a lot of times that's where people go wrong, is they want to skip the process and go to healing and declare I'm healed without really doing the work. One of the things that I am in the process of doing is restructuring my business and my brand. And one of the things that I'm really focusing on is inner work and doing the inner work. I talk about and share a lot about 3 works that we do, or 3 works that we should do. That's the inner work, that is to change the condition of our hearts. That's the forgiveness work. That's the what esoterics call the shadow work, going to the deeper parts of ourselves and going deep within our souls to heal and uproot those things that are no longer serving us or has never served us, that we've been enduring and had time or spent time with in our lives that I'm going to say that caused us to live life in a way that was not to our full potential. And so that is the inner work. The energy work is the work of visualizing, saying your affirmations. Those are the things that you do to reprogram your subconscious mind. That's the energy work. And then, of course, there's the physical work. That is the making phone calls. That is the putting in the applications. That is going to do what it takes to make that dream, that goal, that aspiration come to fruition. And so I said that to say that I am really focusing on inner work, because I realize in this journey to self-love that inner work is key. Inner work is key. And out of inner work, the energy work and the physical work becomes automatic, because as you're shifting and changing your heart, you'll want to change your subconscious mind. You'll want to do what it takes to be, do, and have the thing that you are here to experience. And so I want to just say this because, well, number one, let me say this. I am not a certified psychiatrist, psychologist, or anything like that. When I speak about trauma, I'm speaking from my own personal experience with trauma and my spiritual path to heal from trauma. The next thing that I want to address is that although I've healed from a lot of trauma that I've been through in my life, there are layers to healing. There are certain pathways to healing that, you know, you go to one path and you feel like, oh, I'm healed, and then something triggers you, something brings you back to that trauma, or there's some aspect of that trauma that you have not healed through. As a matter of fact, I had one this morning that showed up while I was watching my friend's live, and he talked about a certain thing. I just started crying, and I realized, oh wait, I need some help with that. I need to be healed in that area some more, you know. And so with trauma, some trauma we can heal completely from, and all trauma we can heal completely from, but some we heal once and for all, and some is the process. And the process is, you know, you go through phases and you go through levels of that healing. So with that, talking about trauma and realizing that I'm still, you know, there's one particular area that I'm still facing, you know, certain situations that I know I need to forgive, is challenging. But one of the things that I do know is, like I was just quoting Psalm 23, David says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And then he said, you, talking about God, you are with me. And that brings me to the quote that my friend said in his live today. He says that, I got to close my eyes because I just created a meme for it. He says, dive deep within, dive so deep within that you go past your trauma and you go past your pain. And that's what it takes. And of course, I know what he meant when he said go past. You get to a space where you can go so deep within that you are in a space that is not affected by what you've experienced in this realm, because that's all trauma is. Trauma is experiences that we experience in this realm, not, you know, and when I say this realm, I mean in this physical capacity and mental capacity that we have while we're here on this plane. Plane equals planet. So what he meant by that is you can go so deep within that you go to a space in your life, in yourself, within yourself, that is past the trauma. But in healing through the trauma, what that requires is allowing yourself to go through the processes. It requires allowing yourself to be honest and open about your life and about the condition and the situation. It involves facing your the darkness. Trauma can come in different ways for everybody in a different way. So for me, some of my trauma has been dealing with sexual molestation as a little girl, and then having a date rape situation, and then having a domestic violence situation, and being in an emotionally abusive marriage, and then suffering, or not suffering, but experiencing the sudden loss of family members. I found myself trapped in that trauma of death for a long time. Actually, something that I deal with often is that space of dealing with death and even my own mortality, and being afraid, and having to work through that. And working through that for me requires reminding myself that, okay, so let me just explain the mindset that I developed around the trauma of losing people suddenly. Not only was it the sudden loss, but I realized within the last year that, within the last year or so, that I felt abandoned by my loved ones who experienced sudden death. And I realized that they didn't abandon me, but I felt that way. And so I had to work through forgiveness of abandonment issues, which also showed up when I had major surgery a couple of years ago, and a few people didn't show up in my life, and I felt abandoned by them. And so that brought up that trauma again of people leaving my life and being abandoned. And what I'm having to learn and what I'm having to realize in this is that I am never alone. God is always with me. Not only that, but my family members who transitioned are more with me now than they ever could have been in the physical realm. And so I'm not abandoned, and having to process through that. But here's what it took for me to process through that. It took for me to get quiet and listen and ask questions. I have this, I was putting up these little pictures that have certain words on it. And one of the pictures says curiosity. And what is often required in any type of healing, any type of spiritual work and inner work, is having that curiosity and the courage to ask questions. And the beauty in asking questions is that every question that you ask, there will be an answer. There will be an answer. But here's the thing: are you ready for the answer? Are you willing to hear the answer? And will you allow the answer to shift and transform and change your mind, your heart, and just really shift your, I like to call it spiritual DNA? Because for me, what it required from me was I had to just ask myself, why do I feel like if I pass away, I will be abandoning my family? And then I realized that's because I felt abandoned. But that only came by way of spirit and me asking the questions and being open and honest with myself about the condition that I was in at that moment. And that's also what's required. You have to be honest. You cannot heal from trauma with trying to make it a beautiful story, or trying to say it in a way that is not as grotesque as what you experience. Sometimes you have to face the hard truths in life. And the truth is, this person did violate you. The truth is, this person did hurt you. The truth is, this accident did happen. The truth is that, this person did die, or this friendship was, but you were betrayed by a person. Dealing with those truths. And in dealing with those truths, another part of that is When you deal with it, is admitting it, not necessarily to other people and going around telling everybody. Admitting it first within and to yourself, and then, in a healthy way to the people that by discernment, and even by whether it's professional help or whatever, admitting it to them. And once you admit it, one of the things that I say all the time, that when you release it out of your mouth, you release it into the universe, and it's no longer something that you're holding pressure in your heart about. I think about years ago, one of my cousins sent my niece Brittany a beanbag. And it's a huge beanbag. It's actually still at the house that my nephew lives in now. But the beanbag is probably about the size of a queen size bed if you lay it flat. Really huge beanbag. And so when we got the beanbag, my sister and I, we assembled it. Well, the beanbag came in a box that was probably maybe 3 feet by 3 feet box. It was a little tiny box, maybe 4 feet. I don't know my measurements off the top of my head, but a little bitty box. And so when we opened it, there was the outer shell, which was what we sit on. There is the inner shell, which is what the inner parts of it, the foam goes into. And then there was the foam in a vacuum sealed bag. And I remember we took pictures. That was the funniest thing, and one of my fondest memories with my sister, because we actually, we opened the bean bag. Well, we opened the outer shell. We put the inner shell in the outer shell, and then we decided that we're going to open it and dump it in, as opposed to opening it inside the shell. And what happened was, because the foam beads, they were foam beads, because the foam beads were vacuum sealed and compressed so tight that when we opened it, the beans spilled everywhere, and we had a time putting that bean bag together, because we were trying to hurry up and dump what was still in the bag inside, and all of the stuff that was spilling over, trying to put it in the bean bag. But it's the same way with all of the stuff that we hold in all the time. We pretty much vacuum seal it in our hearts. We just keep putting it in, pressing it down. And what happens is, one day when someone pushes that button or someone slits it open, you're going to explode on everything and everyone. This is why a lot of people I believe, and I'm saying I believe because, like I said, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but I believe that this is one of the reasons why people have psychotic breaks. I also believe psychotic breaks is also a realm into a level in a dimension of spirituality that that can open up a new world for the person that's experiencing that. But one of the reasons is because people hold on to so much, and they pack it in to where when it's time for them to, or when someone presses the right button or wrong button or whatever you want to call it, then that's what happens. Everything that's inside, that's been compressed, comes out, and it comes out way more than what it looks like from the outside. This is why we walk around being a beautiful mess. Beautiful on the outside, but a mess on the inside. And so it's really good for you to be able to express what's on your heart. I shared with you before that I have this practice that I do inside of my journal where I call it soul dump. Now, sometimes I do it on audio journal too, but I do soul dump. I actually go in and I dump whatever is on my soul, whatever that is. I don't care if someone made me mad. I don't care if it's, a car situation, a house situation, or business situation, whatever. If it's on my heart, I dump it out. And that has been really good therapy for me, because I, by nature, am a silent person. And I realized something about me being silent. Not only is it because I'm an introvert and I like to keep to myself, but I'm also a person that is a secret keeper. And I'm a secret keeper until death. Like, you can tell me something and I will not release it or tell it to a soul, simply because, and this is something that I learned, it is a reaction from trauma. And a part of that reaction from trauma, or a part of the trauma, was being sexually abused as a little girl and couldn't tell anybody, was told not to tell anybody because it was our secret, and keeping that secret. And so now I have to decide, I have to filter what I hear, but I also have to decide what about this, do I need to hold on to, or what about this do I need to let go? And so I said that to say that being able to let things out and get them out of your mind and out of your heart and write them on paper or say them on audio is one key way for you to begin the process of really dealing with the trauma, of really healing through the trauma and allowing yourself to go through the processes. Now, the processes look different for everybody. I said that before, but the processes have the same components, and those components are the undoing and redoing, the unlearning and relearning, the deprogramming and reprogramming. That process also involves allowing. That process also involves forgiving. Sometimes it's not necessarily the person that you have to forgive, but more so than yourself. So when I experienced the I'm just going to call, for the sake of this, the abandonment of the people in my life when I had surgery, I had this revelation. My revelation was this: you all didn't abandon me. You just couldn't handle what I was going through. But I took it as you abandoned me. And I had to release those people and let them go and forgive them, but also forgive myself for disappointing them a position in my life to feel like they were supposed to be there for me. I remember coming out of, I went on this beautiful cruise in December of 2013. And then a friend recommended that I do this 40-day program. And so literally I went on a Christmas cruise, and about 4 days later, I started this program. And this program was giving us an assignment. We had daily assignments. And one assignment was to write down all the grievances that you have and all the people that you have grievances with. And I was writing and writing and writing. I mean, I wrote a lot. And, especially for a specific person that was in my life, and the grievance that I had towards that person. And then I think it was the next day, it asked, what was your role in that? And I had to deal with the fact that I allowed those people to treat me the way they treated me. I allowed those people to say what they said because I was silent, again, trauma taught, trauma embedded, being silent. But also, not only was I silent, I didn't love myself enough to say, no, you can't treat me that way. No, you can't do that for me. So I said that to say sometimes it's forgiving ourselves too, as well as forgiving the person who offended us. Now, I'm not saying that your trauma is your fault. I'm just giving you some tools and processes towards healing trauma. I actually want to revisit one of my classes, and I think I'm going to do it here in the Self-Love Sessions free coaching group. One of my classes, Forgive University. And it was, I believe, a 3-part class. And I think that it's necessary to go back and to go back and watch those videos. But also I want to go back and teach from a different perspective, because what we don't understand about forgiveness is, well, there are two aspects of forgiveness that I want to talk about, and the reason why I want to talk about this is because forgiveness is a major key in healing from trauma. Again, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, forgiving even God, or what you view as God, the divine, in the part that you think God played in allowing it and all of that. But there are two aspects of forgiveness that I like to talk about. The first aspect is forgiveness is an exchange. So what you're saying is, in exchange for this offense, or for this pain that I'm feeling, or for this depression that I'm going through, I give it in exchange for my peace, my freedom, my joy, my love. Okay, so that's one aspect of forgiveness. Another aspect is we tend to want to forgive from our human nature and not our divine nature. The key to really forgiving and the key to really letting go is to do it from your divine nature. What happens though is that we live and we exist in this natural state of being human beings. And I always go back to William Shakespeare's quote, to forgive is human, to err is human, to forgive is divine. It really does take your divine nature to forgive. Divine nature means I see that person and I see their pain, and that's why they inflicted pain on me. I see this person and I see their godlikeness, and I realize it wasn't their godlikeness, it was their human nature. To err is human, so it was their human nature that did this to me. And so I use my God perspective, my God mind, my Christ mind, my godlikeness to identify what's happening with that person, and in that I can forgive. As opposed to looking from the human's perspective and saying, you hurt me, you betrayed me, you did this, you did that, you did this, and and I don't want to see you or have anything to do with you. Now, I'm not saying forgive means having anything to do with a person or reconcile, because it doesn't. Forgiveness simply means I give this up in exchange for my peace, my joy, my healing, my love, my whatever it is that you're wanting and needing as a result. So as you're healing through trauma, know this: number one, that you can do it. Number two, know that you're not alone. You have God help. Number three, know that as you are healing in this, there are processes and there are levels and layers. Think about an onion. You peel an onion, one layer, and then it seems like there's another layer, and then there's another layer and another layer. There are so many layers. And right when you think you're at the core, if you peel it back, you'll see that it's another layer. And for as long as we're here on this physical plane, there will be something that we're having to deal with, that we're having to forgive or heal from or grow through, or whatever. Whether you are aware of it or not, there's going to be something, because from conception up until now, you've heard something, you've endured something, you believed something, you were told something, whatever, that was not in alignment with your divine nature. And because it was not in alignment with your divine nature, then that's what you need to heal through. That's what you need to heal from. And so healing through trauma is yours by divine right. You can heal through trauma. So that's all that I have. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you are watching on YouTube, I want to encourage you to join my free coaching group, These Self-Love Sessions. You can visit my website also below, and there will be a link on my website It's www.imdeaquilin.com. But there's a link there that says join my free coaching group, and come on and join us. We are in the midst of, we actually are completing the first week of 21 days of the Good Morning Me challenge. And I'm loving it so far. I hope that everyone else in the group is, but I'm loving it so far. Being able to spend time with yourself. We have a journal, and this is my printout of the journal. I haven't had it bound or anything, but this is my printout of the journal. We have a daily affirmation, daily intention, daily gratitude, daily prayer, and a daily, moving your body, spending time with yourself, doing something with yourself in the morning, putting yourself first, making yourself a priority. So I would want to encourage you to join us in that group. Thank you so much for watching. And thank you so much for those of you who are in the group, whether you're watching now or whether you're going to watch the playback recording. I send love, light, peace, and blessings to you. Know this: you are great in Christ, and you are powerful beyond measure. Take care.